scene. There we go, into the game. We have Buffalo taking on Team Secret. This is an important game for Secret. I think this one, if they win, basically locks them into fourth. Not mathematically, but realistically. So they would love to pick up a win. But as you said, they don't beat teams that are above them.
Yeah, we're also in a circumstance where, like, currently the best team that sits below playoff rankings is at 4 wins, and they have to play against Saigon, Buffalo, against Gamma, against all 3 of the top teams, which means realistically this would also be effectively playoff lock. Again, not mathematically, but for Saigon, Buffalo, this would be lock for a minimum playoffs themselves. Gamma is already locked as opposed to any other team because there aren't enough games for anybody to actually infringe upon them being any less than 4th place, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I think this win specifically for Saigon puts them in a great place. And if they lose this game and Team Secret wins it, well, all of a sudden we have this cluster of 6 and 4 teams competing for 2nd place, which is difficult to breach if you're any of the teams sitting below them. So I think playoffs is pretty decent for chances for any of them. But it still is this massive struggle that I have a problem with eventually, where we're trying to figure out who is exactly the 2nd best team in the league.
Yeah, early trading there. We do see the power of the Jin Renata lane. I was going to say it in draft, but we had so much to talk about. Look, you can fault the Renata pick on a lot of things. There are definitely some doubts, but my word, I don't want to play a melee support into this Renata. Renata Jin? Ugh.
Not a fun time, not in the slightest. Not only for like the disengage that you have, not only for the poke that Renata has, the fact that like her autos are so hard to deal with is kind of rough to happen. This was a quick level 2 actually coming out from Saigon. I like them trying to jump that timer to get some health off this bottom lane. Doesn't quite work out because Shogun isn't within range to be able to contest against Zuhao and Eddie, but I do appreciate the attempt because, again, being able to put down a little bit of health, if you knock down half the health bar of Zuhao and Eddie, things
Artifact in a lot of trouble. Flash into the Tempest, into the Cripple, into the Sonic Wave, into the Resonating Strike, and Bean J is looking very hot.
After our first series where Killer Queen missed like 3 Qs, and after last week when, I think BJ had the same problem inside of their loss up against the side of Luxury, finally we get a good Q coming out after the back after being able to use the slow. Artifact tries to flash, and he's able to catch him on the backside of it, so well played right there. Good first gank into BJ. This is important because, again, both of these are very long-range mid laners, but the important bit is that, again, Vex is good inside of team fights for assassinating very squishy members, of which there are 3 or 4 actually on the side of Team Secret. And the thing is, Kai'Sa is really a big crux for this composition in terms of poke for Team Secret because it's the only AP poke that you've got. So shutting out the Kai'Sa at the beginning of the game is very important.
And they want to have a go with Malphite. Let's see if he can do anything up against the Bear and the Jace. He's done something, Rebel. As he's outplayed them, he picks up a kill.
And
you love
it. The teleport from Froggy also there on the cover. I don't know where the flash was actually burnt, but I was thinking that there was going to be at least more of a follow. But you could see that Summoner is burnt. Penguin had to get out of dodge as fast as possible, just making sure there was no chance that he was going to get punished, and an additional kill was going to get bled out to the Vex. What a play coming out, though. I was so lost. After they couldn't quite get onto him before the tower, I'm like, why are they full engaging into the Malphite underneath the 2nd tower as well? But it ends up being like a circumstance where they at least trade 1 for 1. Probably not all that valuable, especially because the kill went to Volibear and not to Jace, where you really want that gold distributed.
Yeah, 100%. Also, just a slight thing is potentially giving Malphite an experience lead is always really scary. As we see a very fast replay of the mid lane play. Hopefully we'll see the top lane of it. Okay, that's it. Oh, that's all we're getting.
I thought we were going to see the teleport.
Did you learn something? No, apparently not. As now they want to go in onto Froggy once again, and that's a 2nd kill for Penguin.
It is, which is good for the Volibear in the earlier stage of the game. But like we said, operating inside of this composition when it's a poke comp, especially with no real disengage, means the Penguin is effectively a diver that's trying to follow up on a bunch of the damage that's going to come through from the rest of Team Secret. I do like the opportunistic play that came in here. So the attempt was, because Hosmed had died on top side, because Froggy had already TP'd, they wanted to shove out their lanes as such so that they wouldn't lose any real farm or kind of experience difference between the 2 champions. And so right there, it's Froggy getting caught out on top side, where he's pushing just too far, trying to get some kind of damage into Hero. Penguin comes up for a topside regank. At least, again, it's not the Jace getting the gold, it is Penguin getting the gold, so that is beneficial. But that's over pushing from Froggy, thinking he had space to work with.
Once again, Hazmed and Hero having a little bit of a biffo. Hazmed is going to come out on top as he's got the level 6. This is what I wanted to talk about before we had that flurry of action. Giving a Malphite even just a slight XP lead is dangerous because you are now facing down a level 6 Malphite. He can just kill you.
Oh, yes. Being able to press the ultimate button and deal a pretty significant chunk of the health bar, especially if the Q spam is still coming out, which obviously with the Comet is going to be there for Hosped. It means that you have to be very careful with being able to use your health as a trade as the Jace, which takes away a little bit of your ability to kind of stand around the wave and be able to farm things up. You can see how much pressure they're actually putting on to Hero, making sure he's not going to be in this game. 3 members from Saigon are pitching him off of this tower just to make sure that Hosped is able to keep this wave crash. And the reason why this is big is not because Malphite is picking up turret plates. No one cares about the Malphite picking up turret plates here. What we do care about is Jace not getting a single minion from this wave, and taking him out of the equation of a game like this is a lot of poke that's being removed from the table. They don't care that they're losing a dragon. They're ruining Hero's game, even if it's not a mentality thing. It is just making sure no gold is going into him. This is how you shut down a Jace.
But they're also losing mid lane pressure for this. Like, is he just going to go full AP Malphite and just carry? Is this the carry Malphite? Because that's the amount of resources they're putting into it. Husband, he's gone under tower. This is what I said, Rebel. He just kind of kills you. That Q didn't draw tower aggro, so Husband gives him the slap. He dies on the other side, but he doesn't care because look at all the minions that are dying, Rebel.
He got 3 full plates off the back of that, and he kills him. So yes, he trades 300 for 300, which I think is painful a little bit. I almost would have preferred that he did give this away, but he denies more and more minion wave, which is hilarious.
Oh, bottom side, Zhu Hao, he's going to go down. The bailout will not be getting him away. There is a stun onto Eddie, but no follow-up. So overall, SGB just looking lovely.
And ultimately, like, normally a play like this would cost so much on the map, but actually they're doing well in multiple positions. Bottom side has gone fine. BJ has been around the map at least a little bit. Hosped's traded back and forth, but look, he's got 20 CS of advantage over top of the Jace. And the biggest thing, mid-farm isn't ruined, which is really weird, because normally when they try to play a strategy like this, Froggy ends up losing a fair amount of his minions in the mid lane. He ends up with like 60 at 10 minutes or something like that. But he's actually staying like tit for tat with Artifact right now in terms of farm, which is a little crazy, because again, this usually is done with like a Galio or something, and it doesn't get like done this well. But here, Froggy's showing some propensity to be able to farm on the Vex alongside being able to shut out a Jace pick like this.
Yeah, I mean, Froggy is just kind of doing the classic I'm a mid laner that I don't, but I want to be a jungler, where he kind of just walks mid, uses all of his spells, goes he who Keck W, time to leave again, because he can one-shot the wave. That's all he has to do. They've now brought a bear up to try and get onto him. There's the flash bear slap. Husmed should be going down here, but he's living for a really long time. He's not dead, Rebel. Handshake comes in, procs the killer instinct to allow Artifact to come in. This is bad for SGB, as BJ has to get out. Froggy wards them away. So with 4 invested, it's only the 1 kill.
I was really shocked there that there was no play to actually come out from the side of Saigon, only to realize that Hosped didn't have his ultimate the entire time. I was expecting that cooldown to have already been back up. It was just barely not quite back up. And that means that Rift Herald's opened up. They're going to challenge for it. Froggy's spell, the ability to fear here, is what they're kind of playing around, but it looks like Saigon aren't willing to full commit to it. I appreciate that. I like that our teams are slowly learning. I don't remember the last time we had a true Rift Herald flip, which is unfortunate because we talk about it all the time. But it really has been a hot minute since we've seen a team completely throw an entire game around the first Rift Herald, at least.
Well, I mean, look, I know you are an American. You're a little bit more accustomed to McDonald's and the burger flips, but you know, here in Vietnam, the street food's a little bit better. I said here in Vietnam. I'm not Vietnamese, if you couldn't tell. But you know, I do eat a lot of Vietnamese food. Lovely Vietnamese place around the corner from me. Just a little bit of fun information.
There's also a little bit of insinuation there that somehow that like we don't burger flip around Rift Heralds, which is all that happened last season, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, see, I was expecting Hosped. I was like, okay, if they can get him out and they can get a kick from BJ and an ult from Hosped, they actually might be able to turn into this, right? But because that ultimate's down, there's just nothing to do. And I like this quite a bit, actually. The multiple tag with the E and the Q coming out from Froggy meant that the fear was there, which is kind of what allowed them to like full disengage afterwards without any fear of anybody following altogether.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't quite work out. They have managed to get some gold onto the Jace now, but still not a huge amount. As Froggy is just stepping up with absolutely no fear.
He blocks the W from Artifact. He's sitting there with Zhu Hao in his face, and the man has the courage to block the W so he can't get the cannon minion. That was the most ballsy thing I've ever seen in this game.
I love Froggy. I love Froggy
That was
so
incredible. That was fantastic. It wasn't that impactful, but it's just hilarious to watch him do something like that.
It's mindset. You gotta track the mental states. As
Truly.
there's a solar flare coming down onto Renata. They want to shut down her business. But she gets away once again. A billionaire escapes.
Shogun's ult might be available soon enough. They might take a fire at it.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that.
up.
I can't really tell you. It's up. I don't know if he is the meta to cast it, which I think is the one problem. But is not going to end up mattering because bottom side the Renata. You roam to mid, you come back, and you're punished by Taki. Then you have to leave the laning phase, and it means that Jinx gets to continue to kind of bear down on the Jhin on the bottom side. As you can see, pretty much every lane going fine for Saigon. I know there's a bit of a CS discrepancy in the mid lane for Artifact having just a handful of minions in advantage. But again, shutting out some of the early gold advantage for Hero that could ever come about, being able to shut out bottom lane and having any sort of advantage down there, really beneficial. And so far, again, the Volibear hasn't really accomplished all that much, and we don't expect Penguin to scale particularly well in a game like this. So again, Saigon, I think, is kind of getting away with a lot of what they wanted to do in the earlier stage of the game right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I think they're in a fantastic position. Of course, Artifact is still doing fine. He's had a decent mid lane performance. He could still pop off as a carry. This poke comp is still alive. It's just going to take a little bit longer for Hero to be a valuable part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
He's gone. All right.
Oh, rock solid. He's gotten it there. He is trying to get away from Penguin, and with the flash, he should be able to pretty easily. He'll have to try and sidestep a W, but Artifact doesn't have it, or rather just doesn't throw it. So Husmed will walk away with a solo kill.
And what's been really cool about this is, again, Team Secret's kind of getting run all around the map. Penguin hasn't been able to find a really great position to throw down the Rift Herald. They're going to put a top lane with the Kai'Sa right now, as there's no one really to respond to it. But the trade-off is that there's turret plates that have been taken pretty much everywhere else. I'm a little surprised the TP's coming in from Hosmed with no ultimate to try to defend this tower on top side. I'd kind of rather be there right now. Okay. Yeah, there it is. They're not going to be able to push now. I thought that the turret had taken more damage than that, but it actually hadn't taken pretty much any damage. And so it ends up being two plates kind of shared between the Kai'Sa and the Volibear, which does get the Kai'Sa poke a little bit further in.
As soon as the ult's up.
Well, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
So silly.
That has to be almost certainly that he knows there's no like game plan for him. Like he can't step into the champion, like he can't step into Hosmed or he dies, and he can't step away because then of course like Penguin has no assistance, and then it's a 1v1 where like Hosmed might be able to actually like bring down Penguin. So he just dumps damage in, thinking that that's going to be enough to be able to set up for a Rift Herald play on top side, which it does. It does get a couple of plates, which is nice, but again, it kind of sacrifices the Jace's life, and he's already behind, so that's not a place you want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the fruit of those early game seeds that got planted. They hard focused this Jace. Both teams did, to be fair, but Buffalo did it better. They absolutely put this Jace in the dumpster. He had a horrible early game, and now we're kind of at the point where it's like, okay, you're a ranged top laner. I don't care. You don't do damage to me, and every time I have my ult, I can one-shot you.
Ooh,
Froggy in some trouble. He doesn't have his fear. He is Gonski as the sniper is firing. Oh, Taki, you are hating that as he just teleported in. He's on Spellbook Leona, by the way. Something we didn't talk about. Taki trying to get it out. He can't. That's not a great passage there.
Yeah, questionable to say the least. We knew that Froggy was in trouble. I guess he did not because, again, there's no vision around the map, so he kind of had an inkling that there was possibility that people were there, but wasn't expecting 3 to show up all at once. And I can actually respect the fact that Taki TP'd in. Like, if he's able to be there when Froggy is there, then all of a sudden you have a good amount of CC, you've got damage potentially to threaten, but you can't teleport that late into a fight. Like you said, the Spellbook Leona is a little bit different. I've seen it pop up a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that because right now Artifact is getting bullied.
Yeah, but BJ's already missed his cue. Throws out another one, tries to weave it through the minions, doesn't quite manage it. Now into the shield from the Killer Instinct. Penguin trying to do as much damage as he can. Has the stopwatch as well. Shogun wants to get excited. He's got it. No, he hasn't. He doesn't get it. It's so close, but now it's Froggy time, baby. He picks up one. He gets the reset on the ult, but misses the second Shadow Surge. So it will just be the one. I got so excited.
Yeah, who didn't get excited? Shogun, apparently, because he couldn't focus on one target. I think he thought he was going to have the damage to be able to bring down both of them, potentially with rockets all at once, but didn't have the attack speed to be able to drop enough damage in between. And so, again, you get excited right there. It's almost a huge win. This was the play on top side, which feels very unimportant to me, but this was the obvious, kick into the ultimate that set up Hosmed to be able to get another kill into Hero while everything else kind of happened on screen in front of us. But it is an additional tower that is taken in favor of Saigon Buffalo, traded for, of course, that bottom tower that were the ramifications of Froggy going down and Taki's TP being spent there as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, Spellbook Leona is I don't know if there's much analysis to be done, but it is very interesting to say the least. Mm-hmm. But now with a 3-kill Kai'Sa, with a 2-kill 5-assist Volibear, has his mythic already. Jhin 2 kills. Obviously, Jhin is not the damage threat of this comp. Things are beginning to fall into place here for Team Secret, despite being overall down in gold.
We're getting close to the point where the Ludens is going to be done. That's the first big spike for the Kai'Sa, because obviously the Q upgrade is available. Once the Ludens is done, you're going to have the W potentially as an upgrade, and that's when the poke really starts to get rained down. You're a ways away from Hero, and again, Gale Force isn't exactly the spike you want to be on. It's the Collector spike that really gets more interesting for Eddie here when the time comes. But, like you said, it's starting to come together, and it's a question of whether Saigon has put themselves in enough of a position to control a game like this that it ends up mattering, because they're up about 2K. They still have the Malphite and a lot of engagement to actually work with between that and also the Vex being able to go in, BJ being able to go in. We'll have to see whether they're able to kind of capitalize on it.
Husmed has ult here. Taki arrives as well, but they don't have their damage threats. I think Husmed just needs to ult away to his tower. Doesn't even pull the trigger on it. As Taki was just standing in the bush and they seemingly forgot he was there. Froggy adds the ultimate, has another proc of it as well. It goes on to Penguin. Can he reset it once more? He definitely can. Kill goes over to the Malphite, and now Shogun joins the play, guns down Artifact, and they just ignored Taki in a bush and it loses them 3. BJ was apparently just halfway up mid lane dying. I don't know what he was doing. We'll have to get a replay.
Yeah. It looks like he was going after Eddie, and I'm assuming that's what happened, and then the cover was there from Hero instead of Hero trying... Because Kira didn't quite have TP, so he wasn't able to join the fight, and so it ended up just being a 2v1.
He did an ult in the top fight.
Oh... Okay, I'll describe this a little bit later. But Saigon is playing around what they're set up for a team like this. The best part about a kind of poke composition is when you've got the gold and you've got the damage, and you're able to set up a bunker, which is the intention of Zuhao and I suppose Penguin in this, is to set up this front line to where you can't dive into them. What happens is on top side, Saigon's able to find multiple members all together without having some sort of bunker set up. And you can see that at the beginning. This is the play for BJ. He dropped the Rift Herald, probably goes after Eddie, looks for a pure assassination, doesn't quite have the damage, can't get the Q off. Yeah, okay, yeah. He didn't have a second Q in Hero. Oh, he just leveled him from the side.
Now we have a dragon fight, Rebel. The early dragons were split 1-1, so it's not the most high impact dragon ever. It's, bonk. Kai'Sa W's coming in. Artilleryman, please begin to fire. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've locked onto the enemy trench.
This ability pisses me off every time I see it. Every time I see it. It's like a 4-second cooldown when you tag it against somebody, and it's so frustrating to watch. It's ridiculous. It is, yeah, truly. When you have penetration additional added onto this as well, it's going to be a lot more impactful for artifacts. You can see the bare bones of what this composition is intended to do from Team Secret when the time does come. The good part is, Saigon has set up, you can see that they're able to team fight effectively. They've got damage where damage is needed, and they've got first control of both river and bottom side because of the advantage they hold right now. Now, the one dragon they lost is now influential because obviously you can't kind of accelerate, you can't push down on the gas against this poke composition and force them to fight around the 24-minute mark where maybe their poke is starting to come together, where your team fight is still going to be incredibly good, especially with the dive. Because now it's going to take an additional 5 minutes on top of that. So we're talking about a 30-minute mark where all of a sudden that's where Saigon can maybe look to contest for the soul, especially the mountain soul that's really valuable for them against the poke composition. That gives time for Team Secret to try to get themselves back in, get their poke going, and find themselves some kills in the meantime.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I like that they just give that dragon up. I feel like there was potential for them to just try and fight and lose, but they don't need to fight there. Just continue to chill, continue to scale. And get into a position where you can fight at the next dragon.
We're in a place where the Jinx has built a Hex Shrinker as like the second or the third component of like an item, which like you're not finishing anytime soon. But it goes to show you just how much damage, because Artifact is the only AP damage that's really on this team. I guess Penguin's got a little bit with the E, but given that he's full tank, it's not that much. You're building a Hex Shrinker just so you don't get assassinated by Artifact in this game. That's how horrifying that this champion truly can be in the right hands.
Ooh, Penguin actually smites away the red there. I don't think they wanted him to have it, but they were trying to stop a BJ steal, so in the end, not too bad, but Taki's standing there menacingly. And he defends the ward successfully. Get out of here, Penguin. This isn't your jungle anymore.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's a position where, like, the less space that Team Secret have, the better it is for Saigon Buffalo. And so Team Secret, they needed to not get kind of pushed into their own jungle here. Shogun steps across.
Baron. Yeah, I mean, I think they just want the fight.
Yeah, they do. They've got two members, both of them with high amount of engage. Shogun has to be careful with his positioning, because if he's too far back, then unfortunately he can't kind of join into a fight. But you can see that there's a lot of members here for the side of Saigon Buffalo. They don't care about the Baron. They're waiting for the Baron.
The big brain here is just to give this up.
Yeah.
Baron at 20 minutes doesn't do that much. Penguin on the front line taking a lot of damage. There's the Renata ultimate coming out. It does a whole lot of nothing. Woo. Penguin burns down, and now you're going to lose the Baron anyway. Just give this up. What does Baron at 21 minutes actually do? Okay, SGB have run of the rift for a few minutes. They do anyway. You don't actually lose that much from this Baron.
It's a question of whether or not the structure is lost in the meantime, and the gold that you lose is enough for them to actually just win the game off of eventually on the side of Saigon Buffalo. Because this sets them up for third dragon as well. They're going to try to contest. I think the Shogun right for it.
Oh, they go for it. Hero can't find the finish though, and Froggy's now in the backside. Goes golden. Artifact incredibly low, using the shield well. And can Team Secret find a way in? They've got that first kill. Baron now on 1400 health. Can they find a way in? No, they can't. Smarted away there by BJ. But now the rest of SGB are under threat. Hero jumping forward, but this is a neutered Jace. He can't do enough. Artifact desperately throwing out that artillery, but it is not landing. SGB will walk away with 3 Baron buffs, and BJ apparently isn't done, but I think he might think better of that.
Yeah, this is a very rare game where a Fed Lee Sin is actually incredibly valuable, being able to pick off members on the other side of the fight. Husband's not done either.
Husband
okay,
on
never mind,
the
never
hunt.
mind.
He just wants some wolves.
I thought it looked like he was going after the stragglers, because there were 3 low members from Team Secret who were throwing in artillery, like you said, but unfortunately, like they're very low, so they can't full commit to a Baron take. I'm noticing a worrying trend for Saigon, which is that their ultimates are incredibly impactful in fights like this because of the abilities that are so strong from Team Secret. Here, they didn't have their ultimates, which means that like Taki can't like close distance. It means that like Hosmed can't close distance. You can see how difficult it is. Even Froggy doesn't have his ultimate to be able to reset into backline. And when they're down, things get a lot more crazy. But here, there's a situation where Zuhao and Artifact are both pushed out of a fight. Hero is pretty low as well. You saw how close that was to Shogun going down here at the tail end of that fight. And you can see, again, the composition's got some bones to it, very, very specifically for Team Secret. It's a question of whether Saigon can continue to force these bigger 5-on-5s, because the more they can do that, the easier this game is for them. But if they continue barreling into neutral objectives and allowing Team Secret to throw in damage, things are going to get rough.
Yeah, 100%. They need to get to a point where their Malphite, and perhaps even the Leona, I love this Warmogs pickup, by the way, from Taki, can just stand in front of their carries and just soak up the poke. That's what they have to do. They just have to be able to catch Kai'Sa W's for the rest of the game.
Agreed. Being able to prevent that damage is going to be huge. And again, this Baron buff, which we talked about, has having questionable kind of interaction against a poke composition like this. If they don't have the wave clear, which right now they really don't, is mostly Hero, believe it or not, is able to like actually have a difference when it comes to being able to take out sieging minions. You can see both mid and bot are taken up in that regard.
Yeah, Shogun trying to dodge Artifact, who is weaving these W's in. Husmed doesn't mind catching them, but if they do get onto the Jinx, he takes a huge chunk. This could potentially be a base tower falling. Oh, lovely stuff as they catch onto Zuhao, throws out the ultimate, but it does a whole lot of nothing. The Renata goes down, the tower will follow as they try and turn anything they can around, but here goes Husmed. He's rock solid and he's rocking into your backline as they pick up 3 kills. They'll get this in here, but they have Baron buffs. They can move on towards the Nexus.
Very easy to actually work with. The Baron buff should be able to close this game out very effectively. Very nice from Saigon Buffalo to be able to set up a fight where you're able to actually poke down members here from the side of Team Secret because they don't have that much space to work with. They've pinched themselves against their base. It's just going to be a closed out game. It's actually Team Secret who are working on margins that were very, very close, and they almost were able to get this into their favor given the way they played it out. I have to give a lot of props to Team Secret for being able to almost